probably hear me without the microphone. My name is Matt Johnson. I'm the facilitator for Digital Circle, which is the quote-unquote leadership and representational organisation for digital media companies in Northern Ireland. We are funded by InvestNI and the European Regional Development Fund, and I think that's all the logos that I have to mention. But what we're really here to talk about this morning is a project called Code for Pizza. So I am currently on a no carbs diet, so I'm eating pizza in a week, and it's absolutely killing me because I love it. But we have a website, Code for Pizza, with FOR or the number 4. The idea kind of came to me a couple of years ago. The idea being, some friends of mine used to work for a internet distribution or internet-based video distribution company about 10 years ago, and they were working for nothing other than sandwiches. And they did an absolute heap of work. They built an entire infrastructure. They got sandwiches and they picked up a double check, and that was kind of the base of this idea. These guys were so keen on technology, so keen on building something with the technology, that they worked effectively for free. They worked for food. And I think that in sort of recession times and whatnot, it's not a bad thing. Now, my interest is not necessarily in trying to get free code. You know, how brilliant would that be? My interest is what good can we do by basically providing a reason to get developers together in a sort of social situation and interest them in certain projects. So the simple concept is pizza plus geek equals productivity. It's a proven formula. You should try it out. So that was an awful move, wasn't it? So the idea is we want to use this for development of something. We want to use it for something that is related to the public good. It's not just for one company to get the benefit of it. And we want to use it for open source. Now, by open source, I mean anything that could possibly be open. Like open innovation, which is the subject of today, but also for open data. We've seen the US has obviously got data.gov. I think the UK is sweeping up behind it with data.gov.uk. And there's a lot of interest in what can be done with open sources of data. We have some already here. We'd like more, but we'll get to those. So, the projects for the public good that we've kind of been working on, TransLink would be the first one. David, who's just about to walk out the door there, inspired me I think it was a year and a half ago, because he built, using screen scraping, he built a little web-based app that allowed you to look up the TransLink data on your phone whenever you're out and about. I mean, it seems so simple. When do you need the bus data most? You need the bus data when you're not sitting at your desk. You need the bus data when you're in the bus stop or when you're walking towards the bus station. But I don't know if you've been to the TransLink website. It's hard to read on a phone because there's an awful lot of data in there. It's not maybe specific enough, and I think we can do some good there. So Open TransLink was born of that. The next one that I was asked to look at was countryside access. There's an awful. I mean, if you've got the bus routes, you may want to look at cycle routes, walking routes, even foot routes. And Belfast City Council. I met with Belfast City Council a couple of weeks ago, and they said they were incredibly interested in basically providing any access to any of the data that they had that was possibly hyperlocal. So, TransLink itself, the Open TransLink project, we want the data to be open. They have been absolutely fabulous with us. They've given us all the metro data. They've given us the NIR suburban, and I believe the express data as well. So, they deliver everything that we basically ask for in that terms. We'd like the data for the whole of Northern Ireland. There's an awful lot of clean-up work being done on that, and I think guys would love to get their teeth into basically helping that. We believe there's really good ways that we can crowdsource that information. I mean, a lot of people now probably don't realise that they have maps applications and GPS applications built into their phones. So it wouldn't be hard if you're at a stop and you notice there isn't a stop on a map. You could fill that in for the project. And there's two, Alex McRoberts and Jason Bell have both put together apps that work on the web but that use the location features that are built into HTML5 to actually pull that through. So it's just little web apps that will find your location and record where you are. So when you're at a bus stop, it's not on a map. record it then and there. The data has to be available. Now, I'm not saying Translink website isn't available, I've never seen it down, but it has to be available where you're standing, where you are, you know, which means getting those data sets and putting it onto a phone, because, I mean, who carries a phone with them? Sorry, who doesn't carry a phone with them? There's one guy in an entire room. You can speak to Johnny Erickson. Sort you out. But you want this available not only for, you know, 3.5-inch screen iPhones with huge data connections, but you want it available for every single phone. You want it available through an SMS interface so that somebody can say, you know, they just need to text to a certain number that says, you know, say, the phone should know where you are, and you just tell it where you're going, and it should text back, well, here's some street directions to actually get to there. That's not a hard thing to build. It just requires time and, to be honest, money. As probably more money than pizza. It has to be accessible, right? And again, this is just because we have people with lots of different needs. We have people who can't necessarily use a computer, who maybe don't have the dexterity to use a tiny phone, that maybe can't, maybe have sight difficulties. My dad cannot use the Translink website because he's 70% blind. But if there was an audio version of it that he could use, then he'd be better for that. There probably is an audio version of it, but he doesn't know how to use that. It has to be usable. Again, the timetable data that I've seen is mostly in a big PDF that downloads. I'd like that to be not on a gigantic PDF that downloads. And part of that is to try and make it a bit more specific. Whenever I'm looking at the list of timetables and whatnot, I don't really care about Portadown. Sorry about I don't care because I don't go there on the train or the bus. What I care about is where I live and where I'm going to. So you should be able to narrow down that search to just where you are and where you're going to. And again, with access to that data, we can do that. You know, if we get the full ream of timetables and you're out in Strabane, you want to know about the bus services in Strabane. Because it all has to be hyperlocal. You have to know what is in your area. And if you know where your bus routes are, where your bus stops are, then you can build all sorts of services on top of that. You can, for example, tie that into when the local leisure centres open, where the parks are open, where's the public art, where Belfast's wonderful murals are, where our literary giants have come from, 3 of them, where our football greats have come from. I mean, you could do a whole 40-minute bus tour on the great footballers that we have. So we have apps have been built. I mean, this is a very, very fuzzy example, but if you go to David's Translink pages, you'll actually see this was put together by Anna McMillan, and it's an awfully fuzzy diagram of a possible interface for the metro service. You know, the idea being you can click on any one of these